During this short tutorial, I'm going to show you how to complete a client interview or a client consultation. Now, I've built my consultation form in Google Forms. It's very easy to do. And the great thing about it is it stores that client information. And it means that if you wanted to, you could actually email this form to the client in advance and get them to fill it out for you if you wanted to do online personal training, for example. Now, obviously, the best process is always going to be face to face. So I would sit your client down face to face and fill the form out for them. I don't know about you, but I don't like filling out forms myself personally. I would much rather have somebody ask the questions for me and then let that person fill out the information. And it's a great rapport building process as well. You really get to know that person when you're asking them the questions and then they're answering. And the great thing is, you can probe them for a bit more information. So if they don't understand the question, you can clarify things. If you don't think they give a complete answer, or if you'd like to know a little bit more, you can do that as well. And then while you're doing it, you can demonstrate all those great coaching skills like empathy, and let the person know that um, the things that they're saying are perfectly normal and they're not the only one that feels that way. So I really recommend the face-to-face process. So the first thing I'd do is I'd read out this little statement. So the purpose of this consultation or interview is to provide your trainer with all the information they need to be able to plan and deliver a safe and effective training program that is personalized to your needs, wants, and goals. That just explains your role to the client. Click next. Now, this bit here, this is purely in here so that when you guys enter your details, all the responses to this questionnaire will get emailed to you and attached to that email as a PDF. And then for those of you that are obviously using this as part of your case study for your qualification, you can then just add that PDF to your Google Drive folder. So I'm just going to put in here, trainer's name is John, oh, that's my first name, John Bond. And then I'm going to put in my email address, info@stormfitnessacademy.co.uk. Hit the next button. And this is where we come to the client contact details. So this is obviously everything you're putting in here is about your client. So let's just make up a client's name here. Let's go with Jennifer Lawrence. Date of birth 0707 79. First line address, just putting the old nonsense in here. 9 Mickey Mouse Town, Brighton, or Broughton, Brighton, there we go. East Sussex, and then postcode BN41. Oh, my number 1 is a bit temperamental. There we go. 105TF. Contact number 000. Email address jen@gmail.com. Click next. Okay, so this is the health screening bit. So this is basically to find out whether there's any risk really working with this client. We want to work with low risk clients ideally. So this is just part of that process to establish whether they're at risk or not. I'd read the first bit. So the following questions are to identify any pre-existing medical conditions that may require a referral to a GP before you can commence your exercise program. Has your doctor said you have any of the following? Please tick only those boxes that apply. So there it lists the different conditions that you can read out to your client. I'm going to go with none of the above. If there was a yes, you can then put more information in there because obviously you want to probe them for a bit more info on that. So it might be that they had type 2 diabetes, or they might have had pre-diabetes years ago, but the doctors said that they're absolutely fine now. Then it says, do you declare yourself to be physically sound and suffering from no condition, impairment, disease, or infirmity or other illness, other than those declared above? So you can just get them to select that. Now, if they say no, I mean, it's unlikely after they've gone through all that with you, but they may decide that actually no, I probably shouldn't be. Then that's where you'd probably terminate um, this consultation and just say, okay, well, I think probably the best thing to do is for you to go and speak to your doctor and maybe just get a letter of consent from them to say that you are in a physical condition well enough to be able to engage in exercise. But if you guys have any doubts still, whether they got a letter from their doctor or not, you don't have to train anybody that you're not comfortable training. But we're going to go with yes. Are you taking any medication? I'm just going to go no. If yes, details below. Pre or postnatal. Difficult question to ask that sometimes when you get a slightly older lady and you think, oh, I don't want to be rude and sort of, ask a 60 or 70-year-old lady whether she's pregnant because the chances are she's probably not. So I always find this question awkward. I never know when there is a person too old to ask this question. So what I do is I always go, embarrassing question. Are you pre or postnatal? And they usually laugh and go, I don't think there's any chances of that. And then you can just put, yeah, no, okay, thank you. You guys might have a better way of asking that question than me. Check the box that applies to you. I have consulted a healthcare provider who has recommended that I become physically active, or I am comfortable with becoming physically active on my own without consulting a healthcare provider. So, you can give people the option to crack on without seeing their doctor if you don't think there's any massive risk. So we'll go with that one and click next. Now, this next bit has something in there called risk stratification. And in both your level 2 gym instruction and your level 3 personal training manual, there's some risk stratification tools. They are all slightly different, but what they're all trying to do is determine if your client is low, medium, or high risk. And we want to work with low risk clients, as I mentioned earlier. And by looking at it's like a traffic light system. So there's a series of questions usually that will represent green, low risk, or orange, medium risk, or red, high risk. So providing they meet all the criteria in the green section, then they're going to be low risk. So if we select low risk, click next. Then we've got some lifestyle questions. The following questions will help to identify any lifestyle behaviors that your trainer can help you modify in order to help you achieve your health and fitness goals. Do you smoke? We're going to go no. Do you drink alcohol? Let's go with yes, 20 units per week. What is your occupation? Let's put teacher in there. What are your hobbies? We'll say walking the dog. How active are you? We go lightly active, maybe 5,000-10,000 steps walking the dog. How healthy? Oh, by the way, sorry, going back to this one, guys. If sometimes people don't know the answer to this question, they think, "Oh, I don't really know how many steps I do." It's always worth just checking with them. Say, do you carry your phone on you? Most of the time. If the answer is yes, if it's a newish phone, there should be somewhere on the phone that actually records their steps. So most modern phones now will have a pedometer on them. I have an iPhone, so I can only talk about the iPhone. But if you go to your health data on the iPhone, you can see what somebody's average steps are across a week, a month, and even a year. So you could take it from the year and just look at the average there. That'll give you a really good indication. And then tick the box that's most relevant. How healthy is your diet? Let's go with a 5. So not amazing, but not terrible. Could be better. How well do you manage stress? Let's go with a 9. Just making these numbers up now. How would you rate the length and quality of your sleep? Let's go with really bad. Let's say that's a 4. Now, here it's got a question, which lifestyle behavior would you most likely to change? Now, the reason we say which is because if you're doing a consultation with someone for the first time, it's not unusual for these to be, 1 or certainly in the low numbers for everything. And that's why they're seeing you in the first place, because they want some help. but we can't tackle everything at once. Behavior change is extremely difficult. I mean, it really is. Think of something that you guys do um, almost out of habit or really enjoy, and then you're told that you can no longer do that, and you have to change that habit. I mean, it's very difficult. It can be done, but it is challenging. So we want to tackle one thing at a time, really. So which one would you want to change? So they can scroll back and say, well, I would like to be more. I would like to be more active. So let's go with that one. It could be that they want to work on their diet, or it could be that they want to work on their stress management. And then you would give the advice accordingly to that, really. So just we're not experts on all these things, but we know that generally, if people get about 8 hours sleep a night, that seems to be pretty good for rest, recuperation. Repairing everything inside the body, and also nourishing the mind. Making sure that you've got a good, healthy mind so you can cope with the stresses that life throws at you. You can give some advice on stress management. Of course, there's loads of methods in your manuals on that, but that you guys can probably source some other stuff that's worked for you. How healthy is your diet? Obviously, you give advice on that as well, based on the health eating guidelines. But yeah, we're going to go with this one. How active are you? So my not very good typing, sorry. My activity levels. Which client's stage of readiness to change. Now, what this means is if they were at the pre-contemplation stage, that could be that they not consider changing it at all. Now, the fact they've chosen that means that it's obviously not going to be that. But it might be that some of these they are, and the most common one actually is, where are we? This one. So quite often people have no what's the word? Well, they're just not interested in moderating their alcohol because it's a big part of their life. They enjoy it. And my advice to you with people like that is don't address any goal or lifestyle change, behavior change, unless the person is at a good stage of readiness for it. I mean, you can certainly over the time you spend with them, just work on trying to educate them and highlight the benefits to a certain change, and hope that one day they then say, actually, I'd like to tackle that. But you can't force change on people. But this person actively wants to get more active, so let's crack on with that. So what I do is ask the question here, say, okay, so have you done anything yet towards trying to increase your activity levels? And they might say, yeah, actually, I've downloaded an app called Map My Walk, or I've bought some new walking shoes, or I've bought a book on country walks around my area. You're like, okay, brilliant. So that's really good. So that means they're at the preparation stage. They haven't actually taken that step towards doing it yet, or haven't engaged in this new activity yet. They're walking the dog, but they haven't tried to increase their activity levels yet. So we're going to go with preparation stage for that one. Overarching health and fitness goals. Your overarching goal is your purpose for consulting a trainer. Overarching goals are then broken down into more specific sub goals and will drive the basis of your program. So really, we want to know, why is this person here in the first place? So the question here we have, how can your trainer help you? What would you like to achieve? So I'll put in some classic answers here. I would love to lose some weight. My typing, I'm terribly sorry. Love to lose some weight. Um, okay, and so I would say, oh, that sounds like a great goal. Is there a specific weight that you'd like to get down to? And they might say, oh, well, I'd love to be what I was when I was in college or something like that. I don't know. So you could say I want to be 65 kilos again. There you go. Now we can revisit that a little bit later, and we'll kind of home in on that and structure it into what we call a SMART goal. So we'll come back to that. In what way do you believe your training can help with your goals? So we're putting some classic things that people say here: motivation, maybe accountability. So it's someone to answer to, really. So you don't feel like giving up because you don't want to let your trainer down. Motivation, accountability, and then the other thing that people like is coaching. They want to know that they're doing things correctly, that somebody's going to make sure that they've got good techniques so they get the results they want. But probably even more importantly than that is they don't want to hurt themselves. Have you tried to achieve this goal before? Yes. If yes, what went well and what didn't work so well? So again, I'm going with sort of classic answers that I've had over the years. Weigh-ins each week. Helped me stay good at the weekends. Again, this is just the terminology that I would get from people. Help me stay good at the weekends. What didn't work so well, finding the time to make the meals in my recipe book. Now, often you find with especially some sort of nutrition goal, that they might be following some weight loss book or weight loss plan, and it's too rigid. And that's the downside to that stuff. You can follow a book that's got some fantastic nutritional meals in there, and they might be really easy to make, but it's still a lot of change, isn't it? All of a sudden, you've got to buy those things that you don't normally buy and make them in that way that you don't want to, and that you don't really do it. It's all very different. So this is where just using something like MyFitnessPal to track your calories in and out does give you a bit more flexibility. What motivates you? Results. My clothes fitting more nicely. That doesn't make sense, does it? My clothes fitting more nicely. That sounds rubbish. My clothes fitting me better. Let's go with that. My clothes fit me better. What else? Results. My clothes fitting me better. This praise. I mean, who doesn't like a bit of praise? Somebody recognizing their progress. Are there any barriers to you achieving your goals? Let's go with yes. And let's put in work, long hours, teaching, and often very tired. That's a classic, isn't it? Going off to work, working long hours, might be a bit stressful. Come home, last thing you want to do is train. How many times a week can you commit to exercise? So this person might be thinking, well, I would like to do 3 times a week. Maybe 2 midweek and then a Saturday morning. That's quite a classic. How many minutes can you commit to each session? Let's go 60 minutes. What your exercise preference is? Well, I love walking. I love exercise to music. And I'm playing the role now. I'm sort of interested in learning to lift some weights. I've heard that's really good for me, but I've never really done it, and I'm not very confident doing it. So that might be something you'd hear as well. So lifting weights looks interesting. There we go. Next. Right, now we come to the health and fitness assessment. So this is why really you need to do this face-to-face, because the person that you send this form to might not have the equipment to be able to record this stuff. So what I would suggest you do if you are going to actually set yourself up as an online personal trainer is maybe split this form up into 2. So have the consultation form, take out the health and fitness assessment and make that a separate health and fitness form. And then you could perhaps do that bit with them separately, or you could tailor the test to be easily done at home. Entirely up to you. Or you could have a form with a list of tests, loads of tests, and they pick the ones that they can do, and then you just make, you can see these little red stars here. They basically mean that you have to answer those. If I left that blank, I couldn't move on. So you have an option to remove those. So you could just take those stars away, and they can leave things blank if they don't know how to do those tests, or don't want to do those tests. Now, obviously, you want to pick tests that are relevant to that person's goals. But if you guys are going out and setting up your own businesses, I would try and get good at doing, at helping a certain type of client. Now, you don't have to do it this way. You can do it any way you like. But what's quite good to do is figure out what sort of customer that you can serve best. What customer do you like working with? Would really like designing a business around, helping. What do you know lots about? What you're passionate about? What can you relate to the most? And then pick a battery of tests that are very suitable to that client. That's what I would suggest. Now, this is quite a good question, because a lot of fitness testing data and equations, etc., might want to know the person's height and weight and what have you anyway. So, let's go. Let's say this person's 1.7 meters tall. How much do you weigh? We'll say they're 80 kilos. Resting heart rate, we'll go with 70. And again, if the person has some sort of fitness tracker, if they wear a fitness tracker, you can actually get a really good accurate, is the word I'm after, accurate resting heart rate if you ask them to check it as soon as they wake up. Now, obviously, you don't want to be there doing that yourself. It's slightly inappropriate. But you can, if they've got the tracker, you can ask them to do it. So just remind them, say, can you check your heart rate as soon as you wake up? And that's what true resting heart rate is, really. That's at the healthy range, 70. Blood pressure. Now, as I said, they're probably not going to have a blood pressure monitor, although you can buy them fairly cheap. So we're just going to go with a straightforward BP here, 120/80. So that's like an optimal blood pressure. So we'll put that in there. Any other physical assessment results relevant to your client's goals? So something else you might choose to do would be, well, she wants to lose weight, doesn't she? And she likes walking, she likes exercise and music, she's interested in lifting. So I would say maybe like waist to hip ratio would be quite a good one, where you measure the waist, you measure the hips, and then you divide the waist by the hips, and it will give you a number. And you can look in a little chart that says whether that's a healthy result or not. And again, it's all about low, medium, or high risk, and we want it to be low risk. So you could do waist hip ratio, or you could just measure the waist and measure the hips and put that down. Now, in the resources tab on your study portal, there's a free resources tab. I've actually put in there a waist circumference chart that you can look at to see what a healthy waist circumference would be. So check that out. You're very welcome to download that and keep that and use that for your clients. So we're going to go for a waist to hip ratio of 1. Let's go with that, which means the waist is the same size as the hips. Now, that's not ideal. That suggests there's a bit too much fat distribution around the middle. So they're slightly higher risk. Let's go next. Now we come to SMART goals. So we said, didn't we, that the goal was to get to 70 kilos again, I think it was, wasn't it? To weigh 70 kilos again. Now, in order for this to be a SMART goal, we need to know where she is now. So I'll just go back, so I cannot remember what she was. Okay, so she's 80 kilos. Cool. So we're going to put this in here then. So to reduce body weight from 80 kilos to 70. Did I say, is that what she wanted? 70 kilos? We'll go with 70 anyway. I can't remember now. To 70 kilos. And we want to give this a time frame. To make it a SMART goal, it's got to be specific. So we can see here, specific, Measurable, well, we can definitely measure that, can't we? Because we can use some scales. Achievable, meaning this has to be agreed with the client. They need to know that this is something that they can, you know, they're confident this is something they can achieve. Realistic is, given the time frame, can that actually be done? Now, when it comes to weight loss, you can lose quite comfortably, between half a kilo, well, 0.45 of kilo to 0.9 is a good target, really, because any more than that, then we can't be sure that's not coming from muscle as well. We want it to be just fat that they're losing. So if she wants to lose 10 kilos, then the maximum time frame I would suggest for that would be 10 weeks. However, there's going to be some blips along the way, and that is going for the maximum. So I'd probably go for the minimum of half a kilo, really. So let's go 80 to 70. So that's going to take in 20 weeks. We're going to go for 80 kilos, 70 kilos in 20 weeks. Now, what I would do, guys, is put the actual date in as well, because dates are great because they can go on people's calendars. So you could say to the client, you know, once you've agreed to all that, say, let's pop this in your calendar. If they have especially if they have an online calendar. So I'll just put insert date here. Now, what I'm going to do now to make life easier is just copy and paste that, and then I can just tweak this. So now we want a milestone. And I mean, with data-driven goals like this, like weights, that's really easy to create a milestone there, isn't it? The most obvious thing you can do is go to reduce body weight from 80 kilos to 75 and drop that to 10 weeks. Insert date here. Now we've got a couple of options here. So for the short-term goal, we could just copy and paste again. So we could go to reduce body weight. So that's in 10 weeks. So we maybe do a 5-week goal. So to reduce body weight from 80 kilos to 77.5 in 5 weeks. I know some of you are probably looking at thinking, oh, that's a bit slow, isn't it? The weight loss there. But don't forget, we're going to be sculpting this lady's body, because we're going to get her she says she likes lifting, so we're going to get her doing some resistance training. So she's going to be building a bit of muscle as well. So we don't want we don't want the weight to fall off her. We just want it to come off. And actually, a pound of fat, or was that point? What is a pound of fat in kilos? A pound of fat is going to be, it's going to be about half a kilo, isn't it? That's a decent amount. If you look at that, that's it's something to talk about. It's good. Now we could also add on, can I go there? Oh, yes, I can. Brilliant. Right. Hit the enter button a couple of times, and we can add in a process goal here. So to carry out 2 times 60-minute gym sessions plus 1 times exercise to music class. Let's go back and correct all these spellings. Exercise. It's not that I can't spell, it's that I can't type. To carry out 2 times 60-minute gym sessions plus 1 times exercise to music class. So that's taking into consideration her preferences there. So she said she can do it 3 times a week, 60 minutes. So let's make 2 lifting sessions to try and really sculpt those muscles, and then 1 nice fun class because she likes it. And then we're going to be careful not to give her too much to think about. But she also mentioned she wants to be more active generally, didn't she? Now, obviously, this is going to increase her activity levels because that's something she's not doing at the moment. But we could look at trying to increase those steps. So let's go to increase steps per day to What was she doing? She was doing between 5 and 10,000. So to average, we'll go 10,000. 10,000 per day. I mean, that's got the good guidance anyway. 10,000 steps per day. And I think that's achievable because she has a dog that she likes taking for walks. So all she needs to do is perhaps walk a little bit further when she takes that dog for a walk, providing the dog is up for it, or take the dog out for an extra session. Or when she's doing a teaching job, maybe she sits down quite a lot when she's teaching. She could just make some little changes where she doesn't sit down when she teaches, she stands up when she teaches, and she's just more active. Oh, so I've got insert date here. Actually, what I do is I'll move that to the bottom so it applies to all of this. Right. So can you see how we've broken that down? So she's got in there with from the, I want to lose weight. You probed her a bit more. She's gone, all right, I want to get down to 70 kilos. You're like, okay, brilliant. Let's structure it. Whack that date in your calendar because that's what we want to be weighing when you get there. Stick that date in your calendar. And then she can almost forget about that stuff because if she takes care of this, that stuff's going to happen anyway. So now you say, this is your focus for the next 5 weeks. You are going to go to the gym twice a week, get one exercise class, exercise to muscle class. Whoops. I can't spell, can I? 1 times exercise to music class and increase the steps. Now, obviously, we've not mentioned anything about diet here at the moment. And that is something that may have to be layered in later. We don't want to give her too much to think about. But if she's not achieving her goal, then we're going to have to address it. It might be that just by adding those things in there, her diet doesn't change, or then the extra activity might be enough to get her to lose the weight, or it might be that she just starts eating better anyway. That's often the way. When you're more active, you feel much more positive anyway, and you just make better choices. How do you plan on measuring the progress and achievement of the client's short, medium, long-term goals? So let's say, well, she likes a weekly weigh-in. So you could say that, oops, weekly weigh-in on the scales at the gym on Monday, whenever she goes. And again, she does say that she doesn't have a lot of time, does she? So we'll address that in a sec. But I mean, I would try and suggest to her, you'd have to sound this out because she might have barriers to this, but is hit the gym early, get it done first before you do your job. Because I was a teacher for a bit and I would not have been able to go to the gym afterwards. I would be so tired and stressed and I'd have marking to do that I wouldn't go. So the best thing to do is just go first. Get up early, go first, in my opinion. Does your client agree to these goals? So, well, you have to ask your client, are you happy with everything we've laid out here? I mean, if you've done this process well, they'll be buzzing. They'll be well up for it, really excited that they're going to make some change in their life. Yes. If they say no, or they might say yes, but the body tells you something completely different. Yeah, I guess so. Then you need to have another conversation because they're not ready, are they? You need to tweak that. You want enthusiasm. Considering the client's age, sex, abilities, experience, resources available, and the time frame, are these goals realistic? So that's just a little prompt for you to just revisit and go, is it? I mean, is it? And I think that is. So remember, we don't want massive weight loss. We need sensible, realistic, safe, effective weight loss. In order to track your progress, it is important that we review your goals and program at regular intervals. Agree time and date to review goals and the program. Now, again, this is all dependent on the client's availability, the organization you work for, whether they allow you to have regular contact with clients, because it might be that you can't keep booking people in all the time because the company pay for that. If you're self-employed, you do what the hell you like. So I would say, well, the short-term goal was 5 weeks, so I would probably count from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 weeks. So I'd book it in there. 5 weeks, say, right, did you get 3 sessions in a week? Have you got, let's look at your phone. Let's see how many steps you've done. And that'll be great for them because they'll always have that looming appointment, and you should have a good rapport with them. So they won't want to let you down, but they'll want you to be pleased with them. Other professionals or services you could signpost this client to support them with the achievement of their goals. Well, you could put in a little link here to the NHS healthy eating guidance if you thought that were going to be something that would be necessary to work with her for her weight loss goal. You could, if you might have another resource in nutrition you want to use. You could suggest that they download a particular application. So I think I would already said that she'd use Map My Walk. She downloaded that, but you might know a better one that's really good. Perhaps you have had a conversation about nutrition, so you could say My Fitness Pal app. The other thing I was going to suggest was the gym's workout timetable, and then put in brackets exercise to music class on Saturday morning, something like that. So you're just helping them structure their week really, and their entire program, their journey, so they get the results they want and they enjoy it. Strategies to overcome the client's barriers and maximize their motivators. So the barrier was time, wasn't it, and tiredness. So I would say train before work. I mean, again, you'd have to look at how they respond to that, because some people would think, I couldn't think of anything worse. Some schools might have a gym. The school I worked at did have a gym, so you could say or train in lunch break. She could certainly look at developing her steps in her lunch break, because if you get an hour for lunch at school, or if you get a free period, you often get free periods when you're a teacher. You could go for a 30-minute walk, 20-minute walk, walking in free periods. Or, if she thinks she can train at the end of the day, then say to her, don't go home. So pack your gym stuff the night before, and I'd say actually put it in your car night before, so you can go straight from work to the gym. You could suggest that she finds another teacher that wants to go with her, so she's got someone else to train with. The only downside is you have to make sure it's a good teacher. That sounds funny, doesn't it? But what I mean is somebody that is reliable, because you might find they keep saying, "Oh, I'm too busy. I've got marking to do." Preferred communication strategy to provide support. So how do they like to communicate? And they might say, "Oh, I'd love to join your social media group. That sounds really good." Providing it's social media they use, like Facebook or wherever it may be. You could say, "Oh, they might turn around and say, I'll get tons of emails. Probably emails aren't best." Okay, no worries. But yeah, a WhatsApp or a text would be fine. And yeah, nice little cool. I need to change the options here because it looks like there's only one option. But well, they might like a phone call. And phone calls are really nice personal touch. So let's go next. And then we got the training agreement. So I would just read this out to them. It's basically informed consent. It's informing them of what to expect and just checking that they're happy to proceed, really. With the help and support of your trainer, you will improve your goals faster, safer, and with optimal results. In order for you to maximize your progress, it will be necessary for you to follow guidelines during training days. Exercise, sleep, healthy eating, and other healthy lifestyle behaviors are equally important. So your trainer will be encouraging you to become healthy in all areas that constitute good health and fitness. During your exercise program, every effort will be made to ensure your safety. However, as with any exercise program, there are risks, including cardiorespiratory complications and musculoskeletal injuries. In volunteering for this program, you agree to assume responsibility for these risks and waive any responsibility for personal damage. You also agree to your knowledge you have no limiting physical conditions or disability that would preclude an exercise program. You accept full responsibility for your own health and well-being and you acknowledge an understanding that no responsibility is assumed by your trainer. Please tick the box to confirm that you're happy, that you have read the training agreement and accept the terms and you're happy with the action plan that's been agreed. Yep. Please tick the box below to confirm that you have given consent for your personal information to be used as part of your gym instructor's case study. So this is obviously, that's in there so that you guys can use their information. Now, when you click submit, that will get emailed to you, like I said, as a PDF attachment. So you can then put it into your Google Drive folder. So just make sure the email address, that you put in at the start is accurate. Don't, make sure you haven't put any typos, otherwise it won't go to you. Thank you for taking the time to complete your consultation form.